You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It's takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
All right, folks. Hey, it is Thursday, the now one and only single night. Apparently, we're going to be doing Jen and Rick, and we are late as usual. This time, it's neither one of our faults, though, because Skype hates everybody. So it wasn't working for her. Even when she was signed in, it was telling me she wasn't there. She tried to call me. At first, it didn't answer because it thought she wasn't there. Then it was swearing to me that she was away, so it wouldn't let me answer it first. So now it's 9:30, and we're just starting a show that was supposed to start like almost 30 minutes ago. But on a positive note, we're on iHeart. But after they hear this, probably not much longer. Woohoo!
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there and say that Skype is totally trying to take away my 1A rights, and they don't want me to talk because I'm conservative.
You know, that may be more true than you know, because, you know, PayPal's been, like, shutting down people's conservative accounts that use them to make money. So, you know.
Oh, my gosh. First
there
YouTube,
could actually
now
be
PayPal.
a trend here. I'm just saying.
Oh, man. That's so ridiculous.
But yeah, so fun time. So yeah, we go to sign in, and I'm trying to get everything situated, and we're both freaking out because she's like, I can't call you, you can't call me, Skype's reloading, and I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is the iHeart logo red? Wait, why didn't I get an email that said I was approved? And then I went back and looked, and I'm like, hey, guess what? We're on iHeart. After trying for like almost a year, they finally gave in for like 30 seconds until they hear this. And they're going to be like, what the hell were we thinking? Were you drunk when you approved that show? You're fired.
Oh, well.
Hey, for 30 seconds, we're all iHeart, so I'm going to make the most of it. All right, so no, actually, seriously, we've got a pretty good run with that lately. I mean, that's now America Off the Rails, which was the first one that got on there. We had the liberal show that is no longer with us because he got elected to public office and can't really do a talk show anymore, which was
what a jerk.
Which was I know somebody who actually took a talk show and turned it into a fledgling political career. Who'd have thunk it? But yeah, so Opinion Nation, which is unfortunately no more for us for the moment. Then the next one to make it, I think, was actually the Jess's Coffee Shop show, and then right after that, it's been like boom, 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 because Grouchy made it, now Bunny made it, and now we're on here. I'm just like waiting for them to say every single show's on iHeart, because then I'm going to send iHeart Media an email with like, look, you have every single one of our shows as a podcast. Just pick up the station. Oh, sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. Not really a good idea to brainstorm out loud when you're planning to try to slowly take over the world. All right, so anyway, lots of stuff going on in the news, lots of things that we could talk about, but since we haven't really done this in now a little over a week, anything particular you want to start with? How are things going down your way? Anything anybody still needs help with? Anything people need to be made aware of?
Well, not so much right now. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. There's some areas are still flooded, believe it or not. I know, like, people do not they don't assume that. They know that water is receded in many areas, but they're still pretty flooded. Rockport and the Corpus Christi, that area is just doing the clean out phase of all of this. And they were lucky that they didn't really have, they did have water damage from the water that rushed in and from the storm surge, but they did not sit underwater for very long. But they took the full brunt of the eye of that Cat 4. So theirs is more a lot of destruction. I mean, when I have so many friends down there and some family members that have places down there, and they sent pictures driving into town, just even like 5 days after the storm, there was so much debris and so much stuff that couldn't be cleared. I mean, there was a 2-lane road that a boat was upside down, like a huge boat upside down in the middle of the road. And people had just like, you could see where the grass was worn out on the side of the road because they're just driving around it because they hadn't been able to get anybody in there to move it out yet. And boats were everywhere. I mean, they were everywhere, all over that town. So they're starting the cleaning process, and I kind of get updates from different people as to, part of the problem with something like this is so many things flood in so fast. No pun intended. They just come in so fast, and it's wonderful. People are great. They've just jumped to the call, and people are, the Amazon deliveries are coming now. The UPS deliveries are coming now, and those are all really good because they're pretty well itemized. And so it's easy for them to sort those kinds of things. But the things that people have just donated and sent truckloads down with and everything aren't always that way. And these areas haven't really had a place to store all this stuff, or even if they have the place, they didn't have the hands to deal with it. So they were just putting out on the floor what they needed, say water or different foodstuffs. And then all this other stuff goes into, maybe a semi, maybe a warehouse if there was one available, maybe a garage. And now's the sorting process. And so there are never enough hands to do all of that, and it is tedious and it takes forever. So I'm going to hold off on telling people. I do know of some needs in certain places, but I think as these donation centers sort through their goods, and I have known there's a few more teams going down there to specifically help with that, with the going through donations and putting them into the hands of where they're needed. Then I'll start updating people on some of the more current needs, as opposed to, initially it was just that initial thing of getting stuff to shelters because people literally had nothing. I mean, they had their wet clothes and wet socks and shoes, and they didn't have anything else to live on. So for now, I'm not promoting so much of the donation side of things until we kind of get settled and see where there really will be needs and where, they're really stocked up and good. But I am continuing to kind of provide updated information about businesses that are reopening there. HEB has done an amazing job of getting their stores reopened in as many places as possible, as has Walmart. And that's really helped those areas. And, not so much for like, oh, let's go, because now there's so many donations that people don't need to go get necessarily like diapers and wipes like they were needing initially, but just all the filler stuff. And it brings a sense of normalcy to have, these places reopen, and they're going to help with the rebuild of other places in these towns that are just so destroyed. And so I'm keeping stuff updated about all of that kind of thing. But we are in, like I said, some areas are still underwater, and that's just crazy to think about. And then some areas are starting the cleaning process, and that's going to take months and months. I mean, school has started in a few places, but not very many, because, some of these areas, their school districts are just completely done. I mean, there's no going to that high school or that middle school or that elementary school. So that's something that, if it's crossing people's minds to pray about, what's going to happen in these areas that basically don't have an education system anymore. They don't have an economy really, because all the businesses have been destroyed and all their homes have been destroyed. And what are they going to do from here? They've got a lot of people helping. And I continue to see people, just as this first wave of, lots of volunteers ran to the coast this last weekend and put boots on the ground. I know there's a whole new wave of people going, some left today, leaving tomorrow, particularly from Central Texas, that will continue to help with this process. And we just can't get, the reason why I'll keep bringing it up and I'll keep talking about it and I'll keep tweeting about it is it's really easy to get fatigued with all of this. And there are going to be new things going on. Irma is going to slam Florida here pretty soon, and they will need help too. But the coast of Texas still is going to need help for months and months, if not years to come. And they're still really in a very dire situation right now in lots of areas. So, it's kind of the something shiny thing. The news is not covering it very much anymore. There's almost next to nothing being talked about, except for some pictures flashed every now and then. So I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep tweeting about it because, they're still going to need volunteers in 6 months. They still might need building supplies or something in 8 months, things that people can help along the way. And it's important not to forget. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that kind of happened with Katrina is at first there's a real flood of volunteering. There's a real flood of, wanting to help with everything. And then that dies off as, you just kind of move on with life and it's not in your mind's eye anymore because it's not headline news. So got to kind of keep reminding people that these areas are completely devastated and it's going to take a long time. But the mood is incredible. I mean, I just feel like I know so many people I've been helping orchestrate with different things down all along the coast, and people are just so positive. I don't know how. I don't know how they are, but they are so positive, and the mood is just pretty energetic. And I know most people, we kind of joke about how Texans are like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But I mean, that's really what is happening here. And it's, and not just your bootstraps, but everybody else is pulling them up for you too. So it's been, inspiring, even though it's completely, very sad. But, I think people are starting to see the light. And, like I said, the vibe is pretty good despite all the devastation.
Yeah, so some interesting things have been happening in regards to, the hurricanes, because now we have Irma about to throw a fit somewhere near Florida. People aren't sure. Is she going to go on the left side, the right side, straight up the middle? Nobody knows. But, of course, there's somebody who decided to go on a bit of a rant and start talking about how it was President Trump's fault because the hurricanes were only hitting areas that were largely Hispanic. I swear, it's like these people think that he's some sort of comic book villain. I mean, do they think he's sitting in behind the Resolute desk with the Dr. Evil pinky going on? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, because he does plenty of crazy things. I have lots of things that I had planned on talking about tonight that just broke in the media last night right before I went on air, but I'd already had the show prepped, and unfortunately, because of Skype, there likely won't be a live Off the Rails tonight because I don't feel like being up till 2 in the morning because the day job has been crazy. But so anyway, it's funny to me how, I mean, they're actually blaming the president for weather. I mean, it's bad enough that cow farts get blamed for weather, but the president? I'm confused.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I actually, there's this one post that's gone viral. I'm sure most people have seen it. They've seen it on Facebook and on and on Twitter too. But my girl Brianna Danielle, she says, so they say the Hurricane Irma is headed for Miami. Did y'all realize 70% of Miami is Latino, Hispanic, or Cuban? 44% of the Haitian population in the U.S. resides in Miami. Miami is like Houston, in which it is flourishing economically. Coincidence? Trump wants them off our land, so what better way than to flood them out? Read between the lines, people. Well, I went snooping around on her Facebook page. First of all, I was checking to see if it was real because, sometimes people make these things and they Photoshop them and they're not really real. So I found out she is real. bless her stinking little heart. She is real, and there was a whole lot more fun to be had on that Facebook page. So I dove into it, and if anybody wants to check it out, you can go to my Twitter and see. But I had about 10 or 12 screenshots from her Facebook that were hilarious, and it was about man-made weather, and she wasn't just talking about climate change. She was actually talking about, like, weather manipulation by the government. She was talking about how she was like, and it's not that Trump's doing it, it's that the government is. So it's like, not, he's just not stopping it. Like, the government's always been doing this, and like they've been working towards this. And so I'm like, so if this is the government, but it wasn't Trump created, then he took over from Obama. So did Obama start this? Was this Obama's plan? Were the people in the government that are doing this part of his administration? And so that's how this got implemented? I has all the confusions about this. And then also all these areas that she's talking about, like, why would he wipe out areas that went states and coastlines, these parts of the coastlines and everything that went so heavily, the states that they're in went so heavily for Trump, number one. Number two, why would he want to destroy flourishing economies because they hate black people? I don't understand. And that's part of the logic here, is that it's like, it's minorities that are being affected most in all of these areas. And then number three, so the state's economies and these cities' economies do well. It means the American economy that contributes to a good American economy, which often then helps raise the approval ratings for presidents. Why would they destroy those? And then just in general have to then flood in tons of money and use all these resources to clean up the mess. I can't follow. I can't follow the crazy tinfoil on this one.
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, unless, of course, I don't know. I think Al referred to her as someone who made him understand what the female Alex Jones would look like. I resent that because no matter how crazy she was tweeting, I never heard her mention fluoride turning frogs gay. So I call it fake news. Oh, man.
She was really funny, though. And then she was like, she was so funny because she's getting exasperated. And she's like, I'm just stating facts and y'all be coming at me with some BS. And she's like, do your research. Do your research. She kept saying that over and over to people. And I just kept thinking, man, she woke. None of us are. Like, it was so funny. And then, but she did have to compare it to coochie popping, and I'm not really sure what that is, and I don't want to know. So apparently it's better that she went viral off of crazy conspiracy theories that she thinks are normal, because she's also mad that people got angry about her posting some normal stuff. And but apparently that was better, that she went viral off of that as opposed to coochie popping.
Yeah, I could explain coochie popping, but then I might have to kill you, and I'd have to find brain bleach.
I actually know what it is because too many people were talking about it in my mentions, and I couldn't help but see.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because I'm like, I really don't want to talk about it, but if you honestly don't know, guys, I could explain it, maybe.
Yeah, I was like, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Half my mentions were about that, I swear.
I was like reading through that, and I was like, did she really just, oh my God, she really did just say that. But, so speaking of this woke term, because I saw something put out by Colonel Schlichter earlier today, who was talking about the new woke conservatives, which I guess are what I guess that's maybe their new term for themselves instead of the alt-right, because it didn't wash very well. There's just something wrong with somebody that's older than me using the term woke. Because first of all, I don't like using it. Second of all, if you're older than 44 and you're dropping that word, you're trying to pretend you're something you ain't.
Yeah, I mean, I love to use it, sarcastically. I love to use it in mocking or whatever. But I don't. Basically, anytime you want to be like, none of y'all believe me or none of y'all agree with me, that's just because I'm woke and you're not. It's become one of those other like argument enders, like get an education, read a book, those kinds of things where people are just like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Like, stay woke. Okay.
Is that like the new version of talk to the hand? When people are done,
I
talking
think
to you now, they're just like, stay woke.
I mean, honestly, I don't know people that use it in real life in any serious manner, so I can't speak to that. But I can speak to how I see it used on Twitter and Facebook when arguing with people and when people trying to claim that they are woke. And then those are the best ones. Those arguments where people, like two people think they're woke, and so they're arguing against each other about who's the wokest, the most woke. I don't know. I don't know how you make this verb work, but yeah, those. I don't even know how those debates, those arguments are hilarious.
I'm not even sure how it became a verb, but yeah. So I don't know. All of a sudden, when you started talking about who's the most woke, all of a sudden I flashed on a remake of Sleeping Beauty. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the wokest one of all?
That'd be great.
Or what was that? That wasn't Sleeping. Was that Sleeping Beauty or Snow White? I don't know. Snow White, I think.
No, yeah, that's Snow White. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, anyway. That's Snow White.
My bad. Mixing up fairy tales, but speaking of fairy tales and metaphors, have you heard the newest bit from the Third Rail Ramblers yet?
I have not.
You haven't had a chance to hear it? Well,
no, I've been hearing that it's fantastic, but I have not had a chance.
Well, guess what? I have it right here, so bear with me for just a second while I go find it. And then we'll probably go to break after that's done playing. I can find it anyway, because now my email box is acting crazy. Go figure. I'm in the right one. I have too many email boxes. That's just kind of the point of it. It's like, which one do I need to look in now? Because I don't remember where this went.
Well, I'm just sitting here, being extremely, just kind of stewing in anticipation.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not my fault.
Because Beaker and Al they always have the best parodies.
I should have actually had it prepped already. And I didn't think about it until we started thinking about it. And well, that's the non-finished one, so I am getting closer. I don't want to play that one though, because they put a couple tweaks on one. All right, here we go. I found it. Give me just a second. And accept it. My Windows Media Player hates me right now. Hey, remember how we were griping about Skype a second ago? I really am starting to think there's like some sort of like conspiracy, man. The
technological world is against us.
I'm gonna find my tinfoil hat. All right, here we go.
As my thoughts drew an image of a hollow Macbeth, I took a look at the right and agonized about the left, cause they've been cashing and papping so long that even the buckley would think that this party is gone. But they never lost a plan where they weren't the servant. We be beating like a drunk, sovereign TV and turd love. We never watch how they stalking and interlocking. It's true with the status they be trying to walk. A calculated quip, but you gotta know, system's broke. Obamacare ain't gonna go, fool. He's the kind of beat a little status wanna be, like saying please to the right. Principles ain't your birthright. Been getting most surprised, living in a Trump-style paradise. When parenthood that's tight, living in a Trump-style paradise. Promise to all that's nice, living in a Trump-style paradise. But we got no such right. With this administration, they all but making the press lose their effing minds, getting hazed by the tweet, but they always be clowning the mainstream. Too much imprecision, botching, and apparent schemes. They be preferential fools with agenda on their mind. The PADNC gotta be demonized. He provoked pure anger, oppressed pimping canker, but his cronies abound. And they ain't just your average tool, but the press keeps breaking a scandal a day. Misgiving, strife, amplifying, can't brush away. He's in the seat now, but will he stay to be a sophomore? The way he be tweeting, I don't know.
Tell me why must we on the damn TV watch the POTUS deserve common decency? Been getting boastful crying, living in a Trumpster's paradise. Planned Parenthood that's tired, living in a Trumpster's paradise. Promise to all that's nice, living in a Trumpster's paradise. But we got ghosts and trying, living in a Trumpster's paradise.
Spicer and the Comey, Moochie got devoured. People making exits, used to have some power. Little what he's saying, about half of what he's doing. A marathon of fiction, but some of us be looking. Some say I gotta spurn, others get on both knees. But they just be grandstanding, decision is just me. Some Trump I can, some Trump I won't. Most pundits suck, they be always baiting and clicking for the press pool.
Been getting boastful cries, living in a Trumpster's paradise. Planned Parenthood that's tired, living in a Trumpster's paradise. Promise to all that's nice, living in a Trumpster's paradise. But we got ghosts and trying, living in a Trumpster's paradise. Tell me why must he each day to tweet like Tourette's spurn some crude debris? Tell me why must we each day to see the press got hurt on live TV?
All right, so admit it, y'all were singing along, even if you were singing the words to the actual song.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
That
I love that so much. I'm going to have to listen to it like 20 times to catch it all for sure.
Yeah, that is actually, I think, one of the favorite ones they've put out lately. And I probably shouldn't say this on the air, so we'll talk on the break. But we're going to take a quick break, play some commercials, pay some bills, do the things that we got to do to keep radio running. Thank you for tuning in for Jen and Rick. We are live right now on KLRM Radio. We'll be back here in just about 4 minutes, and we're on iHeartRadio. Sorry, we've been trying with this one for a bit, and for some reason they kept saying no, so I guess they just finally got tired of me hitting the resubmit button. Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, But even then, he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Alright folks, welcome back. We are live. This is JandR, and we are coming to you on Thursday, September 7th, 2017. And this is our first official night on iHeartRadio, which explains to me all the gremlins, because I've noticed that lately. Anytime there's like a big announcement for a radio show, especially if we find out like last minute, it's like the radio gods are pointing, laughing, and saying, watch this, the Skype's not going to work. Watch this, the clip's not going to load right. All because they're excited because they're on iHeartRadio now. So let's make their life as frustrating as possible for the next 60 minutes.
Yep. Absolutely. The little, I don't know, the little technology gods are like, you know what? You're just going to have a hard time with it today.
The bastards. All right. So anyway, this was something I'd actually planned on talking about tonight, but since we got such a late start, like I said, I will not be doing an America Off the Rails tonight, because by the time we wrap this one, it'll be much, much later than usual. There's been an interesting development in the media. Apparently, a member of Black Lives Matter, and apparently a pretty prominent member of Black Lives Matter, has now started suggesting that when people talk about things such as white privilege, they omit the phrase white privilege and insert the phrase white supremacy.
I mean, isn't that kind of what they've meant anyways? the way that they've been throwing it around recently. I mean, that's kind of what they've meant anyways, but now it's like, now we're going to impugn on that just based on how you were born, which isn't that how we all got into this mess in the first place? Was, thinking different people are inferior based on, natural born traits.
Well, here's my devil's advocate moment for just a second, and it's not going to go the way people are thinking. But if they're going to start saying Jimmy's a white supremacist because he has better, or Jimmy is white, is I don't even know how that would work, because that doesn't even make sense. I mean, at least white privilege and sentence structure would make sense. The concept of it is flawed, and it's never made sense to me. But it's like they're to me, it seems like they are admitting what is on the inside of them. Like, to them, we are superior because we were born white. I didn't say that. I've never said that. I've never thought that. But when you start saying, well, to get the point across, we're going to take this phrase and we're going to get rid of it, and we're just going to start calling all of it white supremacy. So isn't that them basically just admitting that because we were born white, we're superior to them? Because that's exactly what it sounds like. And I know that's not what they mean, and that's not what I'm saying, because I know I'm about to get a bunch of Nazi hate mail. It's coming. Because especially now that we're on iHeartRadio, they're going to be like, well, this dude's talking like he's a Nazi, and we just put him up here. Take it off quick! But yeah, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me, because it seems to me that they're giving voice to internal fears and internal frustrations, and they're making them manifest, because now they want everything to do with skin color. All of it. Because that's basically what they're saying. Because if you want to know the truth of it, I'm actually... a good portion of my DNA is actually Native American, but you would not know it from looking at me, because I had a great-grandmother on both sides of my family. One was Sioux, the other was Cherokee. So I have a good amount of Native American DNA, but you wouldn't know that from looking at me. So we're taking everything Martin Luther King said and we're turning it on its face, because we're not looking at the content of people. We're labeling them by their skin color. But now it's reversed, because now, if you're white, you're a Nazi, because everybody that's white is a white supremacist, because we think we're superior to everyone. We're not the ones saying that. We're not the ones using the word choice. So how is it us that feel that way?
Yeah, this whole thing, this is just snowballing. It just really is, and we always... I know that a lot of people roll their eyes at slippery slope arguments, but this was one of those that was warned about, and sure enough, if it hasn't just gone right on down that slope. I mean, this is just becoming something that is going to be extremely harmful to future generations. And I know that seems like really dramatic and like doomsday-ish, but if this is the mindset that we're going to teach, and if this is the kind of way we're going to foster culture along, then that is going to create even more division and more animosity between races. And why?
Yeah, no, I mean, it just, like I said, it makes absolutely no sense to me at all. It's completely asinine to begin with, but at the same time, like I said, it just, there's zero sense in what they're saying. Because you can't just say that little Timmy's a white supremacist because he's a white kid.
Well, right, you can't say... well, let's use an example where they've said, like, you can't comment on this because you can't speak to it truthfully because of your white privilege. So now that's, you can't speak to it because of your white supremacy? People with no histories. I mean, you're just really going to impugn a lot of characters, and very unfairly so. And that's just an irresponsible thing to advise to a mass movement, I think.
Now, just to backdoor this into another topic, because another one that's been fairly hot since you and I have done a show last is this whole DACA thing. So taking this argument one step further, let me lay this one on you. So we have an entire group of people that think that the entire white race should pay, in America anyway, should pay reparations to a bunch of black people who were never slaves. So in other words, they want us to be punished for the actions of our ancestors. But at the same time, with DACA, they don't seem to think that these illegal immigrant children should be held accountable for the actions of their parents. Explain that one.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting, like, hypocritical parallel.
Explain that one, because I don't get it.
Well, no, I mean, that unfortunately, like, politics is full of that, full of hypocrisies. So, but yeah, that is interesting. It doesn't make sense. And I'm a squish a little bit on the DACA issue, but and because I really do think that, you know, there are people that I've known myself. I have family friends that did not have a choice in the matter. And but the difference is then what you do, like, once you're the adult, you know. And I think that we spread a lot of disinformation, we spread a lot of fear, and then they are also told all sorts of things growing up by various teachers, you know, whether it's an educator, or whether it's a parent, or whether it's whoever. So that further keeps people from approaching their status the right way. And there are more resources than what they are really told. And I don't think that, you know, okay, just automatically deport them all because, you know, their mom brought them here when they were 4 years old and this is the only place they've ever known. But there has to be a way to go about this without making it incentivizing more people to do the same, and then also to make it like a reward. There has to be some sort of middle ground to go to. But if you want to venture into, did you see Ann Coulter, who is like, I'm afraid that someone should have her on suicide watch over all of this and over Trump's dealings in the last few days. I admit it is rather humorous for me, but seriously, she might take a long walk off shore pier.
Well, I mean, she better hope not. She has absolutely no flotation capability. She looks like Skeletor. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? So I have mixed feelings with Trump over the last few days. I like the fact that he kicked DACA back to Congress, because that's the only way that it should have been dealt with in the first place.
First and foremost, if we talk about anything with this, that's the main thing, is it never should have been in the hands of a POTUS to begin with. It never should have been an executive order. It always needed to have gone through Congress. And so do it the right way and then talk. And so I think the arguments that are going on about this are kind of null and void from the very beginning, because it was never a matter for the executive to be just signing on.
And even Obama admits that. I mean, you've actually heard him say this was unconstitutional. I did it because I felt I didn't have an option. This was basically only a Band-Aid. But now he's ripping Trump apart for trying to do what he couldn't do in the first place. Now, where my mixed feelings come in with this is, first of all, kicking it back to Congress, which I think he should do, because if we're going to actually try to see what we need to change with our immigration policies, they're going to have to be the ones to take a look at it, not him. But the 6-month timetable and the ultimatum, I don't think were necessary. He needs to leave it in the hands of Congress, because that's their job. I'm also really confused about all of a sudden the meetings with the Democrats, and now suddenly he's stumping with Democrats. But if you listen to folks like Cernovich and Mitchell, it's about his $4 billion D chess game that he's playing, and I just don't buy it anymore. I think he is upset. I think he is an egomaniac, and I think he's mad because his own party won't play with him, so now he's going to go find people who will. And I could see some of it to a point. I could see trying to reach across the aisle, because that's what we say we always want to happen until somebody actually does it, and it's on our side. But if the other side doesn't, then we get mad when we try to reach across the aisle and they slap our hand away like Obama did. But it's the manner in which he decided to reach across the aisle, because he's put them in perfect footing in a lot of ways for the midterms, because he just gave them a short-term continuing funding resolution, which gave them everything they were asking for. All because that way he made sure that he got the Harvey funding. And I understand why he wants the Harvey funding. He has to have it. But he could have done it as a clean resolution, and he didn't. And I don't understand why. Because this is great optics for the Democrats. I mean, I like I said, I've been so slammed at the day job that I planned the show out that I did last night on my lunch break, so I hadn't even had a chance to basically look at much of anything because of everything else that's been going on. So I get up this morning, and by then I'd already started to hear some of it trickle through, and that's even in the local news shows, all I heard all morning were the little clips of, oh my God, the Democrats have played Trump masterfully. They've gotten everything they wanted from him with this continuing funding resolution, and he doesn't even realize it. How stupid is he? I heard that on 3 different channels today while I was getting ready for work from 3 different Democratic leaning pundits, and I'm thinking, what the hell has he done now? And then I realized it's even worse because I didn't hear the other stuff. He was actually on the campaign stump with Democrats yesterday. What the hell?
Well, there's one thing that I want to say to some of these people. I told you so.
I know, right? But still, it still hurts.
We all told you so. It's ridiculous. But have you been watching the spin on this from the diehard MAGA Trump red hat parading people?
Yeah, like I said, Cernovich and Mitchell are all talking about Trump's 4 million move 4D chess game, and we're just too stupid to know what he's doing.
But, I mean, even some people that I respect, and I'm not going to call him out on air, but that kind of went all in for him after primaries. Like there was a tweet that was like, anybody, this is about the debt ceiling, but there's like so many things like this. Anybody got a reason yet I should care about the Trump debt ceiling move besides Paul Ryan is sad?
How about
so really, like, it's better to, and someone said Pelosi and Schumer are happy, and the response was like, that's more of a rebuttal. Like, what in the actual bleepity bleep bleep bleep? So now your goal is just to piss off what you call rhinos by being the biggest freaking rhino you can possibly be?
Yeah, I mean, because,
that's the thing. It's like, do they not see this? And a couple of these people that are defending this, they are smart. And they're like, oh, well, at least it pisses off. Like, if our only goal is to, like, piss off who they think are globalist rhinos in the Republican Party, and then supposedly piss off leftists, well, that's not what they're doing. They're actually turning more rhino than the rhinos could ever be, and completely capitulating to some of the most leftist Democrats that there are.
Well, you know what's happening? Trump has finally gotten a look at the numbers, and there have been all kinds of polls that have come out lately that have basically said 60% of his base is going to support him no matter what. So since he can't get McConnell and Ryan to do anything in his estimation that needs to be done, he is going to start working with the Democrats, which we already knew was going to happen. We said this months before he ever got elected, that there was going to come a time when he was going to make a noticeable swerve left that to most of us wouldn't be a swerve left, but to the 20% of his base that are actually paying attention, they're like, what just happened? And the rest of them are like, oh, it's okay. He's playing chess, guys. It'll all work itself out. We'll be all right. And I'm sitting over here going, he just went on the campaign stump with Democrats. Whatever else you think he's doing, he just basically told a group of people that a Democrat that has voted with him maybe 47% of the time was better than a guy who's voted with him 97% of the time, even though they don't get along.
I am just baffled by all of it about the but screw Mitch McConnell and screw Paul Ryan, but hey, it's totally cool that he's tweeting about working with Pelosi and that he's shaking Chuck's hand and rub-a-dub-dubbing with it. I mean, it's just so weird. The defense, if this had been, let's say Cruz had gotten in office, or let's say Jeb had gotten in office, or something crazy like that, and these people that had been Trump fans, were still throwing stones at rhinos, what would they be saying about this then? They would be, just tearing it down, beside themselves, angry about, see, and I told you those blah, 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 blah. And here it's just like, well, he's making deals because he's the best deal maker. I mean, he's not one thing that he has done has been the best of anything. This is just absolutely absurd.
The cheerleading is what's driving me crazy because, I mean, look, I get it. We want a president that's willing to reach across the aisle, but we never asked for somebody that was going to reach across the aisle and give the other side everything that they wanted. I mean, we had the Republican Party literally ready to shut down the government on 3 separate occasions over the continuing funding resolutions, and the president just gave them everything that they wanted. I don't think people realize the optic shift here, because this is insanity. Not to mention the fact what it actually does for you and me, because this is yet another time where the government decided they know more what we need better than we do, and they've decided to put in for another credit line extension, and they've gotten it even though they can't afford to pay for the credit line they already have. This is another. I mean, if this was a Democrat in office right now, there would be a picture of, say, if Barack Obama was still in office. Somebody would have already put a cartoon together of him pushing Grandma off a cliff in a grocery cart, and it would have said "Fiscal Cliff, dead ahead."
Yeah.
But
yeah,
now it's,
absolutely.
Who cares? If Ryan and McConnell are mad, it's got to be a good thing, right? No, it really doesn't have to be.
No, just like it's not okay to like support something just because it pissed leftists off. It's not okay to support something only because it's pissing off who you think are the rhinos. That is just completely asinine way to go about supporting policy. But I was going to say also, it's also really annoying because this is always the predicament, Trump or not, that GOP puts itself in, because we actually, in general, the GOP Congress tries to they let Democrats get in their heads, and they refuse to take the hard stances and say, no, we're in power right now, we're in Congress, and we are going to pass this. We are going to. That people start backing up, and they start going, well, I don't know about any number of things. This is what happened with the any of the the PP defunding and things like that. They start freaking out. I'm like, you were voted in by your constituents to represent them as a Republican, not to represent them as a Democrat. And while there needs to be some compromise on certain things, particularly immigration reform, that doesn't mean that you have to compromise on absolutely every last little thing. And here's the thing about it is but Democrats demand it always, but they don't actually demand compromise. So when Republicans are in power, they say, you must compromise with us. Like, we represent a good chunk of the American people too. And how dare you not listen to us and try to work something out with us that works for both sides, so that we can at least keep our people happy too, who deserve a say in this country, because damn it, they're Americans. That's what we hear from them, and how you're unpatriotic if you just railroad anything through, or if you only vote on something, or if we push anything that's like staunchly Republican through. But then what happens on the other side when they are in power? What do they say? They don't care about those Republicans and how many people they represent and what their values and what their beliefs are, or what policies they support. No, what they say is, you must compromise with us. But what that means is you must give in to us, and you must meet all of our demands. And even here, Schumer just said it right out. He said, Schumer to me, to someone on CNN, Schumer to me on Trump, only way we're going to work with him is if he moves completely in our direction and abandons his GOP colleagues. This is how it always freaking is. Meet all our demands and forsake your principles and constituents is often the ways Dems offer to compromise with GOP, no matter the freaking subject and no matter who is in power. And we do it constantly. It happens constantly. And that was part of what supposedly this base of his was so angry about, and that they wanted to have him rise up and stand up to that side of the Republican Party. And we're not even a year in, and here he is doing like we said he would, and completely, in more ways than the Congress really ever could, is completely turning on the rest of the GOP and turning on the entire, constituency that voted him into office to quote unquote compromise with the Democrats and give in to the Democrats and be truly the biggest rhino there is. And the problem here, though, is that so many of them, they invested so much in him. They spent so much of their personal and political and maybe even professional capital to support him, that they can't either they are too blind to see it, or B, they can't bring themselves to admit it. So they have to figure out a way to spin and support every single freaking thing. And it is infuriating.
No, it is. And, I mean, and again, I'm not going to mention anybody by names, but I saw somebody that I actually respect who's usually pretty good at putting out memes that was talking about all this debt spending or debt ceiling stuff in a positive light. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me, because if this was Barack Obama, we would be having a Fed. We would be incensed if this was a Democrat that had just passed a short-term continuing funding resolution that did what this did. Even with Harvey attached, we would still be mad. That's part of the reason why we voted down the funding that the conservatives voted down with the last round of hurricanes, was because of all of the extra crap the Democrats tried to attach to it. And we caught hell for that. I mean, what is the point in doing all of these things where you're trying to stand up for your principles if at the end of the day, when it's finally your turn to show people these were our principles and we meant them and this is what we wanted, the guy at the top of the ticket bends over and takes it? Never mind, I'm about to say something I shouldn't say on the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so SAS tried to pass an amendment, a clean bill amendment to this bill to pass the Harvey relief aid. He put it together, he filed it, and it was defeated something like 75 to 25. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I mean, what it tells
about these Republicans? That's insane.
What that tells me is that we have a bunch of big government Republicans, which is what we kept telling everybody we weren't.
Or that they are so worried about their position, and they're so afraid that if they piss off the Democrats that they might lose their seat or whatever else. I don't know, but it's like this kissing. I really think one of the problems that happens, and this is kind of my problem with a couple of, I don't know, we'll call them blog groups out there, is that they are so busy playing kissy face with the left. They want to be seen as the good kind. Like, I'm the good kind of conservative. I'm the good kind of Republican. I'm not like those kind. I'm not like, I'm not going to be like extreme, and I'm not going to stick steadfast to things because I believe in, compromise. I believe in humanity. And they're constantly trying to find allies and buddy up with the left in order to prove that they are a reasonable Republican, or they are a compassionate Republican, or that they are in some other way, like not entrenched in some sort of, extreme ideology or religious ideology or whatever else. And so they try all the time to make them like them. They want them to like them so bad. And then they think that if these Democrat politicians like them, then maybe some of the Democrat voting populace will like them. And I really think it's more about ego with the politicians, though, because the politicians the Democrat politicians get all the props and the fame and the glory from the mainstream media, from Hollywood, from a lot of professional communities, from the education wing. So I think that there's an envy there, and they are, the Democratic politicians are the cool kids, and some of these Republicans want to be the cool kids. And I think it's a majority of them, actually. And so they kind of do all these things. And then you've got people like Sass, people like Cruz, Mike Lee, that stick to their guns pretty much no matter what on a lot of things, at least on their voting records. And but those are just few and far between, and those days are really over. And we've got all these Republicans, they really are kind of rhinos, because they constantly want to buddy up to the left, and they hope that maybe they'll like them more, and hope that maybe they'll think that they're a cool kid too and offer them a seat at the table. And instead they get burned every time. They get burned. That the left will play footsie with them and then stomp on their foot so hard that it's broken. And it's time and time again. This has been happening over 25 years that I've been watching politics or even aware of politics. That is never going. I'm not saying don't create compromise, don't create don't have allies. I'm not saying don't reach across the aisle. I'm just saying this constant kind of butt kissing to Democratic politicians, especially when they're not even in power, is pathetic, and it is disgusting, and it is absolutely betraying everyone that put you in that office. for a freaking popularity contest. Like, it's just, I'm so sick of it.
You really shouldn't hold back like that. You should tell us how you really feel next time.
I know. I'm really bad about expressing my emotions.
I know. I should keep it all bottled up, and All right. So, believe it or not, we are officially over our allotted 60 minutes. Because I really didn't want to cut you off mid-rant because you were kind of on a tear there. So I was like, I'm just gonna let her go. I'm just gonna let her go till she winds down. All right. So, since we are officially out of time, why don't you remind folks where it is that you could hang out with me, or hang out with, they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me. This is me trying to talk. Take two. Go ahead.
Okay. Come find me on Twitter at jholmstead. I'm JR Homestead on Facebook, and follow at Misfits Politics on Twitter, and check out misfitspolitics.com for all sorts of fun stuff. And actually, there are several. There's actually a parody up from very recently, a satirical writing from Beaker, who is one half of the duo that did the parody that you listened to today. So you should go look at that on Misfit Migrants, because it's pretty dang funny.
All right, and on that note, I, of course, am Rick Robinson. We used to do the show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. As far as I know, for right now, at least, we're back down to Thursday. And then, of course, I'm usually on live right after on KLRNradio.com right here, doing the America Off the Rails show. Apparently, there will actually be a live show after all, as soon as we get this stuff reset. So bear with us for here about 5 minutes or so. We'll get things reset, get things fired back up again, and I will be joined by my very special guest, Jessica Sanders from Jesse's POV. And we're actually going to make her put aside international news and actually talk politics tonight, just because it's my show and I get to make her do what I want. All right, anyway, just kidding, folks. We are out for the night. Again, want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who's helped us get to where we are right now. It's actually a really big deal. I mean, I know some of you out there are like, oh my God, what do you care? Your podcast is on iHeartRadio. You don't understand. For those of us that are doing this, iHeartRadio is like, like being on Broadway to somebody that does plays. I'm just saying. All right. So anyway, we are going to get out of here, and I'm going to reset things, and we'll be back here in about 5 minutes or so. You guys have a great night. Enjoy your weekend, since I won't see you officially on this show till next Thursday. And I'll be back, of course, live again tomorrow night with Robinson and Wright, the next venture of mine, to see if I can get the arm twisted for iHeartRadio, because I'm about to go flip the switch for that one again and see what they tell me this time. And that one actually may be a few minutes later than usual, because for some reason there are lots of home football games this year. I don't remember it being like this last year. Last year it was like home game, away game, home game, away game. This year it's like home scrimmage, home game. It's supposed to be an away game, but the weather messed it up. So, or it was supposed to be a home game, but the weather messed it up, and they turned it into an away game, and I didn't know, and it was close enough that I still wound up going anyway. And then this last one's been an away game, or home game. Now we have another home game tomorrow night, and I'm just thinking, I remember when I was a kid, it was like back and forth pretty even. One was home, one was away. Week after week, it kind of changed back and forth. I'm like, I've never been in a school where they do all their home games in the beginning of this season. What about the homecoming stuff? I'm confused. All right, so anyway, I'm ranting at this point. We're going to get out of here, folks. You guys have a great night. Take care. God bless.